Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
All right, welcome into a Thursday edition of the JP Peterson Show, along with IndyCar Timm Hamm, joining us from our Dallas affiliate of DSP Sports Media. We got lots to get to today. We got a lot of football on the agenda, as Sky Carter's going to join us at 11 o'clock from FloridaGators.com as we do our Florida Gators report, brought to you by the Jeeves Law Group. The great Corey Long will join us at 10:30 to talk college football, FSU football, Florida football, a little USF football, maybe some NFL. Tim's going to join me in talking about the Ravens and the Bengals tonight. Lots of good football, a rare good Thursday night game. So lots to get here to today. We'll do some Rays. We'll sprinkle that in as well with their former Cy Young Award winner, who they traded away for a bunch of slapdick prospects, to use his term. Blake Snell wins a Cy Young, and a little ballpark news as well. So lots to get to today. Settle in and enjoy a good 2.5, maybe 2 hours of Tampa Bay sports talk radio here.
I was like, what, are we going long today? What are we doing? 2.5 hours?
We might just, I got so much to get to, bro. We might just, why not?
All right. I'm here.
We do whatever we need to do. Yeah, we got a good game tonight, which is rare for a Thursday night, right? We got two contenders, although the Bengals have been a little weird this year. The Ravens seem to be, world beaters one week or one quarter. They look like the best team in football, and then they look terrible. Yeah. So I don't know what to expect. And I know this, Ravens coming off a loss is usually bad news for another team. But the Bengals are surging, and they look like the team everybody thought they were going to be early on in the season. So this should be a good one tonight. What do you think?
You just wonder what the Bengals would look like this year if Burrow wouldn't have gotten that calf injury in training camp, right? Because that sort of derailed them early. They started off the season 0-2, just like they did last year, by the way. Slow starting team, apparently.
Yes.
And then, they beat the Rams in week 3, very, very close game. And we still don't really know or at the time we didn't know what the Rams were. We thought they were better than they are, but we know what they are now. Blown out by the Titans in Tennessee.
Weird.
You beat the Cardinals, and then they rattled off 4 in a row: Cardinals, Seahawks, Niners, and then the surprising win against the Bills. Then you go out and you lose to the Texans. And, man, it seems like Burrow on that winning streak, it seems like he's finally getting healthy. Seems like he's playing like old Joe Burrow.
Yep.
Him and Jamar Chase have their chemistry back. And at times they look really, really good, and at times they look really, really beatable and really bad.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll see what happens tonight. But I think for Cincinnati, it's just all about Joe Burrow, right? And it's all about his health. And he wasn't even able to push off that leg. Probably should not have been playing, but are you really going to sit, are you going to sit him? So it'll be interesting tonight to see exactly how the Ravens play as well, because they've been, interesting up and down team. I thought I picked them as my Super Bowl pick in the AFC because I just, first I didn't want to go with a boarding pick like the Chiefs, even though they're probably always going to be your pick. And I just thought the additions they made on the offensive side would put them over the top. And they've been more dangerous offensively. And I think Todd Monken is still kind of working through that offense. I think this Ravens team will continue to get better. And I think they win tonight. They're at home, and I'm gonna lay a little juice on the Ravens tonight. All right, but we want to get to the Buccaneers. Yeah. We want to get to the Buccaneers, and interesting injury report came out. First of all, the one that scares me the most is that a guy that got healthy. Matt Filer is healthy at left guard, and the Bucs have been much better at running the football and just better offensively since Aaron Stinney was put in there. So I can't imagine they would take well, I shouldn't say that because they do personnel things all the time that absolutely shock me. If they put Filer back in for Stinney, there's just no accounting for that whatsoever. Stinney has played so much better, but we'll see how that goes as the week goes on. Mike Evans has a quad injury that popped up. Obviously, he finished the game strong. I certainly expect him to play this week, but and if things start to get ugly, and they could go ugly early, much of my college career on Friday nights, you just pull them and you just get them the hell out of there and let them rest and wait to some games that you can actually win. Luke Gedeke, who's played so well at right tackle, minus the false starts and some of the penalties, he's got a foot injury that he's been nursing all year and did not practice yesterday. And against this front line of the San Francisco 49ers, who's healthy for the first time, and Chase Young will be playing, I think, his second game. Yep. Jesus Christ, look at that front line. I mean, Chase Young, Bosa, Vernon Hargrave. I mean, it's just ridiculous across that front line. And Javon Hargrave, by the way. They are just – and I don't see how the Bucs block them, to be quite honest. I just don't see how they block them. And that being the case, even though Baker Mayfield is the best rated passer under pressure, he better be. It's going to be really tough for this offense to find any place to run. I mean, if they try to run the ball up the middle, that's completely a fool's errand. That will be ridiculous. But we've done that before as well.
Which means we're going to see a lot of running up the middle,
right?
Right?
Probably. Yeah, we'll surprise them. They won't think we're going to do this.
They won't be thinking we're going to do that. We're going to surprise them.
Who would do that? They will trick them. There's a reason why nobody does it, because you can't. So there's a little bit of interesting things going on in the injury front. Just, we talk about matchups all the time, and the NFL gets such a week-to-week league, and matchups are such a big part of that. And teams that can run the football, the 49ers, with Christian McCaffrey, who had a huge day against the Bucs last year, and teams that are physical up front, the 49ers, give the Bucs real trouble. So last year it was 35-0 before you could blink an eye in Brock Purdy's first start of the year. Many of the players are the same this year in a lot of the same positions. Obviously, not Tom Brady and Baker Mayfield. And having a more mobile quarterback against this unit will certainly be a plus. But I don't see any way on God's green earth that the Bucs survive this. It's a bad matchup. It's a game, you're going out west. They're going out on Saturday. They're not going out early. They went out early last year and got destroyed. So, yeah, at least Bowles is changing it up. I get that. But not to be negative, but I just, it's hard when you're doing matchups like this and you're trying to find certain advantages. Where do you see the advantages? The Bucs, are not the best tackling team, especially in the secondary. And here comes Christian McCaffrey, and Deebo Samuel is healthy, and he wasn't healthy for their 3-game losing streak. It just, we'll hear from Todd Bowles. Both these guys are ridiculously hard to tackle. You've got to bring a couple of hats to the party. And we've seen, the Bucs with some very, very poor tackling in the secondary that have given up a lot of cheap yards and touchdowns. So that concerns me as well. I'm trying to find any place where the Bucs might have a little bit of an advantage. And one thing I do like is Marquise Watts and Yaya Diaby are starting to get more snaps, and they played extremely well last week. And maybe finally, in week 11, the Bucs will figure out what their best personnel is, especially in the rush situation, the pass rush situation. That's clearly with Marquise Watts and Yaya Diaby and Gill and those guys instead of JTS and Anthony Nelson and some of these other guys. So there's got to be, that's a good thing. I think they're finding themselves a little bit. They're finding, hopefully, like last week, that you need to send Devin White on every play because he's pretty much useless in any other situation. So those are the only things I can look at in this matchup and say, okay, this could be a positive. Maybe they get a little pressure on Brock Purdy, but in the end, Shanahan knows how to handle pressure and knows how to handle teams that get after, that bring the blitz. Purdy is very good at beating the blitz, and he knows where to go with the football. So good luck. Good luck. Oh, did you see that? Just what happened right there? We had simultaneous dogs in the background.
We did. They're talking to each other or something. And the part that would concern me the most about this game as a Bucs fan is teams that lack great discipline typically don't fare well against good offensive teams, right? Like when you got bad defense, whether it's taking poor angles to players, whether it's misreads of the offense completely, poor tackling, missed assignments. Teams that don't have good discipline just don't fare very well. And this is
a great point.
49ers team is a machine, man. And, Brock Purdy's got 2 or 3 different calls in his brain when he walks up to the line of scrimmage to counter whatever he sees across the line. And, again, I hate the 49ers as much as anybody. So I'm not cheering for the Niners by any stretch, but I'll be watching that game for sure. And having my fingers crossed. Maybe Baker has a career day. You never know.
Yeah. That's what you need. You need to hit a couple of really big plays over the top, which, if there's any weakness in this 49ers team, it is their secondary. So you might be able to get some plays there. And you need to. And it's one thing, interesting number. The 49ers are not a good come from behind team. I think they're 7-35 when they're trailing in the third quarter. So they're under Shanahan. They're not a good come from behind team. They're great front runners, and they beat you up early on, smack you in the mouth, take a lead, and then they run away. So they're great front runners, but if you can get a lead on them, they seem to struggle in some ways. So there's the secret sauce to beating the Niners is get a lead on them. And that's one thing, that's one kryptonite. So we'll see. I don't have a lot of faith in this matchup. If you're the Buccaneers, you hope you kind of survive it from the injury front because this is such a physical team, and then you can move on. And I'm never one for, saving guys, but if there's anybody that's borderline, if Mike Evans has a quad injury and you don't want him to stretch it a little bit more, the long flight, the dehydration that could lead to pulls, I'm thinking about these things. And you have to, because it's a full season. It's a game of attrition, and it's a full season. And if you're going to get your ass handed to you anyway, why push the envelope on a couple of guys in Luke Gedeke and Mike Evans if it's not going to make that much of a difference? You hate to go into it for the defeatist attitude. You always want to say, listen, on any given Sunday, we can get this done. The 49ers lost 3 in a row. They're not, unbeatable, but they're healthier now. They're at home. You're making the long flight. There's just a lot going against you. There's just a lot going against you. But and you've got some really winnable games coming up too. So you don't want to lose a battle and also lose a war in this particular week. So I think the coaching staff probably has to keep that in mind as well.
Yeah.
All right. Let's before we go to Todd Bowles, and I want to talk a little bit about something that was out there for Buck fans. And the organization sent out a letter yesterday to all season ticket holders, or maybe it was on Tuesday, basically reminding them if they sell their tickets, excessive selling could result in a revocation of their season tickets. That's part of the season ticket agreement. Now, I'm not exactly sure what excessive selling means, what it's defined as. Is it 1 game? Is it 2 games? Is it 7 games? I don't know. Excessive selling, I would say, would probably be 3 or more. I don't know, maybe, to some fan bases, it might be 2 or more. I don't know. But clearly, by what we've seen this year, there are a lot of fans, and frankly, a lot of these may be ticket brokers. A lot of these may be ticket brokers that bought season tickets during the Brady years, still have agreements in place, and are selling them to other entities. And I think that's a lot of what's going on right here in this particular situation. So, and I think this is the organization saying, we're going to weed out some of these people. We're going to weed out some of these people and get real Buck fans in there that are interested in going to the games. And I think it's high time that they've done that. Mm-hmm. I'm going to find some time to hopefully get Brian Ford on the show, the COO of the Buccaneers. Maybe we'll get him on tomorrow. By the way, programming note, I believe we're going to have Rondé Barber on tomorrow. He's got a really packed schedule, so he's trying to fit us in tomorrow. But we'll get Brian Ford as well, because I think this is an important issue. Especially for the Eagles game this year, the Bears game. It's embarrassing, especially since it's on the TV side. It's the TV side, and you see, the entire lower bowl made up of Eagles or Bears fans, and the roar that comes up when they do something right. It's embarrassing. Listen, it happens at Amalie Arena to some degree. It happens at Tropicana Field to a bigger degree. So it's, it
happens in other markets too. It's not just Tampa. I mean, it happens in Dallas. Anytime they play the Steelers here, anytime they play the Broncos here, dude, I'm telling you, it is probably 50-50 Cowboys and road fans. It is ridiculous. Yes, it happens here too.
I would not have guessed that. That's very interesting,
but
good to hear, by the way, because I think a lot of people, including myself, think that this is unique to Tampa, and we're just not the greatest fan base when it comes to that.
Yeah, no, it's here in Dallas specifically, and it's with specific teams, like especially the Steelers. Dude, I'm sick of seeing freaking terrible towels being waved at AT&T Stadium. It's a joke. Eagles fans travel well or live here. I don't know. Dallas is pretty much comprised of transplants from everywhere else, really. But yeah, it's not just a Tampa thing, man. That happens everywhere.
Yeah. Okay. Good
but
to
I'm
know.
glad to see they're trying to do something about it.
Yeah, they need to. They need to, and it's hard though, especially in this economy when tickets are expensive, right? Tickets are really, really expensive, and if you have a situation where you could basically pay for half your season tickets by selling one to Eagles fans, well, it's hard to tell people not to do that. To be quite honest. But you'd also like to have that home field advantage. It's important. It's really important in football. So I think it's kind of a fine line. But I do think if you're an organization, you want to do everything you can to encourage people, because we've gotten in this thing, Tim, where it's like now it's to the point where even the real fans are like, everybody else is doing it. I don't want to be the only one in my section, that's a Bucs fan and surrounded by Eagles fans. So why put myself through that? So so you want to at least try to protect the fans that want to be loyal, right?
Right.
That's where I think the organization does have some real responsibility here to protect those fans and encourage the others as much as possible to keep theirs. And I don't think there's any way possible to have some type of ticket exchange where it's like, I know I'm selling it to Buccaneer fans. And clearly in a supply and demand era, of a marketplace, you're going to want to sell it to the highest bidder, right? That's the whole point of selling it. So maybe we could cut the Ticketmaster fees, and any chance that's going to happen? No.
I was about to suggest, and the teams won't want to hear this, if you want to eliminate the need for people to subsidize the cost of their season tickets, lower the price of the season tickets.
Oh, wow. You have lost your mind.
I didn't say they were going to like it. I just said,
yeah, what a novel idea. And here's the other thing, Tom Brady's gone. The supply,
he ain't coming back.
Thank God.
Tom Brady ain't walking through that door.
Thank God. But is it a little bit of self-awareness to say maybe we should lower the ticket prices because it's not as in demand as it once was? Of course, that never happens.
Mm-mm.
So anyway, our James is on it early this morning as we hit to some of our comments. If Devins is healthy enough to play, you don't lay down and tell him to stay home. Listen, there's degrees to quad injuries, right? There's degrees to quad injuries. If he's healthy enough, what does that mean? It's just being smart. It's just being smart. If he's a 70% chance of going, then maybe you definitely take him with you. If it's 30%, maybe you leave him home. I honestly, you with quad injuries and muscle pulls and things like that, you really don't know until you get out there and get them on the field before the game, at least how sore it's going to be. Sometimes well ahead of time. It's just not going to work.
Yeah.
But obviously if he's 75, 80%, you go. But I think you just be careful. And if you fall behind 14, 21, nothing, then what's the point? I'm all for, let's give it the old college try, and you never quit, and you got to be 100%, blah, 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 blah. You also have to be cognizant that it's a long season and there's some very winnable games ahead. And why beat your head, against the wall? That's all I'm saying. James, calm down. That's all I'm saying. Right? We're not quitting here. We're not quitting on the season. We're just saying, let's just be smart about it.
Not tanking. It's not time to tank.
Not tanking. All right, let's listen to a little Todd Bowles, shall we, Tim, and have him give us up to speed on some of the injuries and some of the thoughts from this week, and we'll comment as we are wont to do. So here we go.
Here we go.
See Luke out there at the part of practice we were at. What's his status so far?
He didn't practice today. He's got a foot.
That's Gedeke.
Same injury he kind of played through Sunday, or
Glad he's got a foot.
reasonably confident that
That's doable.
given where that was and what he was able to do Sunday, he'd be able to go this week?
We'll see how he feels as the week goes by.
How do you look at this 49ers defensive line with the addition of Chase Young? They've got 3 out of their starting 4 that are first-round picks. Javon Hargrave, the Frazier pickup, might be playing the best out of all 4 of those. What do you see up front when you look at that front 4?
They're explosive. They can get after the passer. They do very well stunting in the run game. They're strong up front. They're first-round picks for a reason. They got a lot of stars over there.
So for a team that's brought a lot of pressure with their front 4, they don't have a lot of sacks. I think they're 20th in the league, but they're up there in terms of pressures. Is our teams just trying to get the ball out of their hands quickly? Is that the way to attack San Francisco?
I don't know if it's the way to attack them, but you're definitely getting the ball out of there. You know, the pressures are probably more important than the sacks because you're not looking downfield. And as long as they're getting pressures, which they are, and getting the ball out, I'm pretty sure they're happy because they got guys in the back that can fly around and make plays.
Is this one of the more diverse offenses you're facing when you got a running back, McCaffrey, you can catch it and run it. Like Alex Debo Samuel, catch it and run it. Kittle and Ayuk, doing their parts of stretch the field.
They've got a lot more weapons, and they got a lot more yak yard guys than we faced recently. So all of them can do a lot of things, and obviously Kittle was in there as well. So, you know, we just got to be able to tackle. We got to be where we need to be at the right time, and we got to gang tackle.
Ty, we don't always look back a whole lot on Wednesdays, but you had a random play Sunday where on punt return, Zion thought there were 12 on the field, but he was on the far side of the field and went off the field on the opposite side. In that situation, would you rather have a timeout there, or are you okay just taking a 5-yard penalty in a first quarter of a game like that?
Well, he was on the field. Had I saw him go over there on the sideline, I would have called timeout.
You'd rather use the timeout there than eat the 5 yards?
Yeah.
That's all. Let's pause that, Tim, if we can. Why would you not save your timeout? Well, I know why. Because you take them all to the half anyway.
Right.
I forgot he's cobbling them together for hibernation in the winter, in the summertime, or whatever. I don't know. It's bizarre. Like, why would you not just, especially on a punting play, the timeout is way more valuable than 5 yards in a special teams play.
Right.
I mean, I don't want to minimize field position. That's important. But if I can have an extra timeout that might lead to a scoring play, am I complete? Does this not point to the 1980 mentality that Todd Bowles has of managing games? Yeah.
Yeah, times have changed. And by the way, I have an quick editorial here. That is a badass Buccaneers hat he's wearing right there. Like,
yeah,
I'm not even a Bucs fan, and I would wear that hat.
Yeah, that is sweet with the Bucko Bruce logo with the knife in the mouth. That's fantastic.
But it's got the current colors on it, instead of the creamsicle orange. I mean,
it's got but the creamsicle orange is the face of the pirate.
Exactly.
So a little nod to that. Yeah, it's a great look. It's a fantastic look.
You need to hook me up with one of those.
All right, 10-4. I'm gonna mark that down. Carry on.
Regular season action, extended action there. What have you seen of him? I mean, this is a guy that was a trial guy, right? Not even an undrafted free agent necessarily, but what did you see of him in practice that gave you the confidence to put him out there, and then, of course, he produced in the game?
He's gone against Luke and Tristan every day, and we give him the best pass rusher of the week so he can give them guys work because he works hard nonstop, and he's been giving them fits. And because he's been giving them fits and they've been blocking well in ball games, a lot of that is a credit to him. So we said, he deserves a shot. Let's see what he does on Sunday. He went out and did the same thing. So we really like where he's at right now, and he's coming along good.
Pause it.
He should earn some playing.
Week 10.
It's maddening, isn't it?
Since preseason, he's been doing it. Every week in practice, he gives our tackles who are rated in pass protection among the best in the game fits. Week 10. Not week 3. I would say week 1. If he's been doing it in preseason, maybe. Because the other guys you have done squadoosh.
Yep.
And week 10, it takes. What? Like, on what planet? This dude moves at a glacier pace.
And is it just me, or does he just, and I know all his press conferences are like this because I've watched enough now of him to know. Does it just feel like he'd rather be anywhere else than behind that podium right now?
And I get, especially ex-players, right? They're not, they don't love the media. I get it. But it's part of your job.
Yeah.
It's part of your job. And anything that's part of your job, especially, and I think it's a rather important part of your job because you're speaking to your fan base, and the great coaches are also speaking to their team through the media. That it all works in hand. You're creating a culture, right? And I don't think Todd sees it that way. I think Todd sees it as a complete nuisance. And I'm going to give as little information as possible. He never calls out players in these. I mean, literally tells us, yeah, I know what happened, but I'm not going to tell you.
Yeah.
Even though you're asking the question on who busted the coverage, I'm not going to, I'm going to protect my players and hide them from you, even though they're playing in front of 100,000 or millions of people on a weekly basis and everybody can see the all 22. So
it's like he doesn't know that people watch these all throughout the week and critique them and talk about them. And
bizarre. But more than that, it's like, and maybe it's because it exposes things like this. Yeah. When we start asking questions like, where the F has this guy been? He gets 11 plays and he's, making, turnover worthy plays. And then you come and you tell me he's been doing this in practice for 3 months. Oh my God.
Wow.
Okay, let's continue.
I'm sorry, if I could just follow, Yaya Diaby is the other young guy, right, that we've seen him develop, and you had expectations for him, obviously drafted him. Are those two guys sort of, you step back a step and go, you know what, we got two pretty good young pass rushers here on the outside, along with, your first round pick. Future's pretty good.
The guy who sucks.
Still developing, but we really like all three of them. We like all three of them right now. Like where they are, like the way they're developing. Obviously, they got to continue to be healthy and do all the right things to play, and they're heading in that direction. So we're very happy about that.
What do you think it was where the defense, after that clunker, like you said, gave up all those points, was able to come back and play so well Sunday? What do you think was the main reason? Was it them? They took it upon themselves, or?
I mean, everybody's got a lot of pride. You don't want to just have a bad game and not come back from it. You're not going to go in the tank. You either attack it head on or you go back in the tank. Those guys have a lot of pride. We've played a lot of good football in the past, and everybody got down, put their nose down to the grindstone, and got back to work as a group, and we understand what we're capable of, and they came out and played the game.
Prior to the Jacksonville victory for San Francisco, they dropped 3 straight games and only scored 17 points in each of those. But turnovers were the main factor probably leading into those losses. Is that how you beat San Francisco, is you've got to get the ball out of their hands?
That's one way. You either score a lot of points or you make them turn it over, hopefully. So we can get one or the other or maybe both of them. But they're a very good football team. They don't have many bad games, and we got to play a solid football game to give ourselves a chance.
Your defenses have done a good job against McCaffrey in the past when he was with the Panthers. Do they use him in a different way, and what's been the key in sort of containing him, so to speak?
In Carolina, he was one of maybe 2 or 3 stars. He got about 5 or 6 of them over there in San Fran, and they move him around a lot, and they do a lot more with him as well as with the other guys, so they make it difficult to keep tabs on him. I think that's the difference from when he was in San Fran to Carolina.
And what's the key to not letting him take the game over?
Tackling, the yak yards. Him and Debo break so many tackles. It's unbelievable. You have to group gang tackle them if you can. You got to be able to get them down and limit yards per catch and limit him in the run game if you can. But he does so many things well. It's hard to just contain him. You just try to slow him down if you can.
You didn't know much about Purdy when you faced him last year, but now that obviously he's played quite a few games, is the approach different in facing him?
I hope the results are different. Obviously, they beat us pretty good last year, and some things we got to change and we learn from, and hopefully that changes for the better. But he's a good quarterback. He's a good football player. He's a smart football player. Kyle plays smart football players. He takes care of the ball. He knows where to go with the football, and he can use his feet when he needs to. So it's going to be, other than the other weapons they have, that's a challenge in itself with him using his feet as well.
All right, that's Todd Bowles from this week's press conference. Some maddening things that I hear from time to time, and the not using Marquise Watts. When we saw it in preseason, like the dude can play, and hearing that he's been wrecking practice, and finally in week 10 gets a shot is just mind numbing. It's mind numbing, especially when your pass rush has been less than impressive and needs a jolt. So it's a common theme with Todd Bowles. It's a common theme that their personnel decisions that need to be made are made weeks, like 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks longer than they need to. And it's the NFL, man. You had to make these decisions in game, not 2 months later. Then the Bucs sit here right now with two more wins that should be on their resume, without question. Without question, you have to win the Houston and the Atlanta games. And then you're in great position right now and you're a much different football team. But this is why there are great coaches that can see these things and act quickly, and guys that just take forever because they play it too safe and they don't trust themselves. They don't trust their eyes. I don't know what it is, but it's pretty consistent with Todd Bowles.
Yeah.
It's pretty consistent. All right, we'll take a break, and we'll come back on the other side. Corey Long's going to join us. We have love talking college football and Tampa Bay Lightning with him. He covers both of those, so we'll do that. We're brought to you by the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com, and Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. If you want to lose weight, you want to get your testosterone right, get your immune system right, Bay Area Modern Medical Center, Chris Lugo, those are the folks to go see. They'll spend more than an hour with you on your initial visit, get your blood work done, and personalize a plan just for you. Try getting that from your primary care. Won't happen. Get a new primary care, and that's Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Back in 3 minutes with Corey Long. Stay with us. Are you tired of those stuffy, overpriced sports bars? Well, come join the fun at the Patio in South Tampa and watch your favorite football teams under the stars in a tropical paradise. Yeah, it's a unique setting with huge wood decks beneath the trees, and don't worry, they have an inside AC bar with all your favorite bar games as well. The Patio has all the NFL and UFC sports packages, and it's home to the Tampa Gator Club and Bills Mafia, but all fans are welcome at any time. Hey, my FSU buddies love to watch the Noles at the Patio. It's also home to a great happy hour. Weekdays, get $4 White Claw vodka drinks and $4 White Claw seltzers, $1 off all beer and wine from 3 to 7:30. And every Friday happy hour, join us for Football Friday. It's our live broadcast from 5 to 7 with tons of specials and the fan mic for you to join the show. We'll have swag and ticket giveaways as well. So come out for the live broadcast 5 to 7 every Friday at the Patio and come watch football in a tropical paradise all season long. It's 421 South McDill, just a few blocks south of Kennedy. Everyone meets at the Patio.
Hey guys, are you experiencing those feelings of getting older, lower sex drive, fatigue, hot flashes, moodiness, or you just don't feel like you had the vitality you once had? It's a chronic problem here in the United States. You're not just getting old, it's likely low testosterone. Studies over the last 20 years show a shocking decline in younger males aged 16 to 39. Older men have seen a sharp decline as well, so do something about it. Go see my friend Christopher Lugo at Bay Area Modern Medicine. Look, testosterone replacement is not a frivolous treatment. It takes a professional, targeted approach that focuses on total body wellness, vitality, and emotional stability, not a one-size-fits-all approach like many clinics use. They will monitor your blood work and adjust your treatment as needed for optimal results. Folks, I've been on testosterone therapy for over 6 years, and it is a life changer. You will feel and look better than you did 10 years ago. Give them a call at 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling. That's 844-977-3477 or BAMMC.com.
JP here for the Geddes Gordon Real Estate Group and our good friend Jane Geddes. Folks, simply put, there is nobody like Jane. Jane is a former LPGA two-time major championship winner. She was also vice president of talent relations at WWE. She also has a law degree from Stetson. So if Jane can drain a 10-footer to win the U.S. Open and stare down Hulk Hogan in the boardroom, you want Jane on your real estate team to not only negotiate the best deal, but find you the perfect home or investment property. And when you work with the Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of the real estate family and get concierge services that include expertly staging, marketing, and preparing your home for sale. Advice on golf properties. Hey, you might even get some golf tips. Many of their clients become friends long after the sale or purchase is completed. It's all part of the deal. So if you're looking for that perfect home or investment property or trying to get top dollar for your home, go with Jane Geddes and the Geddes Gordon Group because there's nobody like Jane. Call 813-485-6808 or go to geddesgordon.kw.com. That's GEDDES Gordon.kw.com or call 813-485-6808.
Coming back at you. Now, more with JP on FanStream Sports. It's only just begun.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show along with IndyCar Timm. We are rolling through this Thursday, talking some football. We'll get to the Bolts here in a little bit, maybe a little bit of Rays chat as well. And we're going to welcome in our good friend Corey Long, who we love chatting college football with. What's up, Corey? How are you, my friend?
Doing well. How you doing?
He's in the building. I'm good, man. What do you care? I'm doing great. I went to a college football game for the first time this weekend up in the Tallahassee, and enjoyed watching 80,000 screaming Seminole fans shout down the Miami Hurricanes in what was a fantastic football game. Maybe a little bit too close for my comfort, as we gifted them a touchdown late in the game to bring it close. But in the end, FSU does what it done all year long, and that's close games out, my friend. So, what are your thoughts on what you saw?
I thought it was a good, hard game. I thought Miami came in, played hard, had a really good game plan.
Yeah.
They keep the game close. I thought they would try to, make it a little ugly, make it gritty, and they did. But you can really spark it to 3 or 4 big plays that FSU made during a stretch of about most of the third, beginning of the fourth. It's about a 14-minute stretch. You get the big Ja'Kai Douglas. I love Ja'Kai Douglas. You get the big Ja'Kai Douglas play that really breaks that offense out of the malaise that it was in for a while.
Yep.
You get the field goal on that drive. You get a big pass to Wilson and a touchdown from Benson, and then later Keon Coleman almost breaks the punt return and then gets a touchdown catch. And that's really your difference. So that 17-point stretch there. And that was what closed out the game. Like I said, I thought Miami played hard. They got kind of a touchdown pass off of just kind of a bit of a miracle throw. And then, I would have, obviously I don't want to see a kid break his arm. So I would have liked to see Emory Williams work out that last drive. Unfortunately, he didn't. Unfortunately, he's going to, miss a lot of time with that. So, hopefully it'll be okay.
I think that's why they gave him the first down, because they saw that he'd broken his arm. Then like, well, we know you're at least a yard short, but let's just give it to you anyway. You paid the ultimate price, and thank God Tyler Van Dyke did what he always does, and that's throw a pick. But I thought, let's give Florida State some credit for doing what they've done really all year long, and that's played a spectacular second half. It started against LSU. They're the only ones that have been able to shut down Jaden Daniels for any stretch of time. They did the same thing. They came up with the big play to beat Clemson, even against Boston College. They played some really good second halves, and I'm gonna Duke especially, and that's partly because they've got a lot more depth defensively, and they're using that depth. What are your thoughts on the way they've been able to close out games? And I forget who it was. I think it was Booger who said he thinks FSU is the most complete team offensively and defensively.
Yeah, I don't agree with Booger, but I like Booger. Anyway, beyond that, no, I think they're doing a really good job at making adjustments, making halftime adjustments. I think the only real second halves I thought they weren't great in was probably obviously Boston College.
Yeah,
was a bad stroke. And I thought Clemson was that Clemson missed a 30-yard field goal, so that was a. They both. FSU needed defensive score. They weren't great in that game. You really look back at that game, they were not great, but they figured it out. Which is, sometimes that's part of getting on a stretch run. Is you got to kind of figure out things when you're not playing well at all. And they had to work for this one. Miami. They put up an interesting defensive plan. They were letting I think his name is Maliuga, the linebacker. He was in many situations, he was the last line of defense, and he pretty much showed up every time except for I think once, where he got the guy that he needed to get. So they made him fight for this, and they're showing they're showing that they can fight, that they're willing to that when things aren't pretty, they can they can get down there and and make and fight through it and make things happen. And guys will go out there and make a play now. And that, that wasn't always the case. But, these days you can count on these guys to go out there and make a play when they need one. So I think there's, they're certainly 10-0 for a reason. And, one of it is just their ability to play well in the second half of football games.
Corey Long joining us here. Do you think they're playoff worthy if they can get these final wins? how difficult do you think the Florida game will be? And, you know, there are a lot of people that say they're not worthy, that they're maybe the 7th or 8th best team. Where are you on that?
I mean, whether they're the 7th or 8th best team and playoff worthy are kind of two different things. I think their magic number is 3. I think they win the 3 games they're in.
Yeah.
And that's at the end of the day, you can think what you want, but, you know, the games have to count. It's kind of why when I tell somebody that, do I think Alabama might right now is a better team than Texas? Probably, but if they have the same record, Texas should go in. Why? Because the games are supposed to count. And if they decide later that game doesn't count, then why the hell would you schedule it? You know, they would just say, we'll never schedule these games again if you decide they don't want to count. You know, I already heard ESPN bunch of apologies. Oh, Alabama did whatever. You know, they lost. They weren't even lost. I don't hear it. You know, it wasn't like Alabama came on broken legs and torn ACLs. You know, it was a real game in Tuscaloosa. We all saw it happen. You know, so anyway, but yeah, that's another point. But yeah, I think that, you know, they went out, they're fine. It doesn't matter whether we think they're gonna. I mean, I can think they're doing the playoffs. I mean, I would hope they wouldn't play Georgia. If they do, I'd be a little concerned. But, you know,
whoever they play in the playoff, I'd be concerned. I'm concerned about them beating Louisville in the ACC championship game. I don't think anybody's great.
Louisville. I mean, I don't know if Louisville's going to win this week. I mean, if Louisville doesn't win this week, I think Carolina has the win out, which they got Clemson in Clemson. That's a tough one.
Exactly.
But, I mean, they could lose their next 2. This Mac Brown, who the hell knows what Carolina will do. But, you know, I mean, I don't know how good. Like, Louisville's such a strange team. I've tried to go back and watch some of their previous games and kind of get a handle on it. I really haven't yet. They're a wild card in every sense of the word.
They got a hell of a running back. I know that. What's that kid's name?
Oh God! Yeah. It's early. I'm still barely.
Whatever that kid's name is, he's really, really good. That much I know.
You never have to worry about not having a good running back in that program.
Yeah.
And you know, the Florida game, as I remember saying to people last year, and I haven't got the Twitter to back it up, that I thought it was going to set a score. Like, I thought it was going to be a shootout. It was. And this year might be a shootout too, but I don't think it'll be as close. And it's just kind of like, did you see Florida try to stop LSU? And it's like, I don't think now. I don't think Jordan Travis is a player that Jaden Daniels is. I just don't. I think Jaden's better passing, better. But
I would agree.
He's probably like 85% of what Jaden Daniels is, and that seems to be plenty enough. There's a play, and I know you were busy, so you probably didn't see much of Florida LSU, or any at all. There's a play in this game where LSU running a basic 10 personnel, basic 4 wide, 2 on each side. It's called a flush route. They take the guys on the left, they run a skinny post. The guys on the right both of them run like out patterns. One's kind of medium, one's a little deeper.
Right.
And he's going to try to find one of those guys, go through his read. In the process, the running back slips out and goes out in the flat. Now, first of all, Jaden Daniels has enough time to construct a house back there because they got no pressure. He's just sitting there bouncing on his feet, like not even wanting to run. Nobody could probably run for 40 yards at this play, but nah. So he just decides I'm going to dump it off to the back. And when I tell you the back ran 30 yards before I even saw another player in the screen, I'm just like, where are these guys?
Yeah.
Like, how could they possibly be that far on the other side of the field?
Yeah.
So, I mean, they have to have nightmares of just the 4 players have to have nightmares of just Jaden Daniels running around their ass, looking like Bo Jackson from Tecmo Bowl. You know, when you play Tecmo Bowl, you feel like a real jerk. How they would take Bo, run him all the way down to the goal line, all the way back, then run him all the way to the goal line again. That was the way I felt watching Jaden Daniels against the Florida defense. Like, he literally could just stop, run all the way back, and run around him again. Like, oh my God.
No, I went and watched a little bit of the highlights just because when I saw that he threw for over 350 and ran for over 200 and was the first quarterback in college football history to do so, I was like, wow, in an SEC game, I need to go see some of this. And it was bad. That's why all my friends are like, oh, Florida's going to be tough. I'm like, have you seen them play defense? Have you seen our offense, how explosive the Noles offense? They're not going to stop FSU. They're not going to. I mean, they might be able to score. I think their offense, Graham Mertz, is better than people think.
I got to admit, I was totally wrong on Graham Mertz. I think their offense is good. I think he's accurate. I think their offense is good. I think their defense is garbage, though.
It's awful.
And I know way too many guys that played for Gator. You know, my best friend is Ed Chester, who was an All-American defensive lineman for Florida. And he's just, I mean, I like even I don't want to look at them. I wouldn't even want to look at them the next day. They're so bad, you know. It was just and that was just the whole thing. Like, how are they playing with 11 guys out there? Like
a lot of times they're not on special teams or 12.
You don't know from game to game. So,
All right, so where are you on Texas A&M fires Jimbo Fisher, pays him $77 million. I mean, just unbelievable. And my co-host here, Tim, is a big Aggies fan, by the way. I think Elko is the odds-on favorite to get that gig, and I think he would be a great choice, by the way. But they'll probably try to go for a bigger name. Where are you on this whole Jimbo Fisher buyout? Who's next at A&M, and how did A&M become a so much better job than that Mike Norvell would want to leave Florida State to go there? I don't see that happening.
I didn't think Jimbo could win a title there. Not that I thought he would do a little better. I mean, he did have one really good season, but I just don't think A&M is a championship level program. I don't care who's coaching. You can have, a love child of, Bear Bryant, Bill Belichick coaching. I don't think they're going to win a title. I just think, at a certain point, there's a limit on the players you can get. Sure, Mike Elko would be fine. I think Jeff Traylor from UTSA is really a good hire, given that he's from that area. He's from that weirdo East Texas area and knows a little weirdo. So, I'm sure when Jimbo got there, you realized, oh boy, this place is kooky, you got the fake military and they got a bunch of dudes doing half push-ups and overalls, that is the most hillbilly backwoods yokel stuff I ever heard in my life.
Traditions. It's traditions, Corey.
Deep-rooted
traditions.
It's a tradition they need to get rid of. They need to get rid of that back as soon as integration happened. That was a tradition that needed to go. All right? So, yeah. So you got to be involved in that weirdo backwoods cult. And I think Jeff Traylor, one is a hell of a coach. But two, I think he's from there. He probably realizes, all right, they're weird, but they're kind of weird that I can get with weird, and
it's all weird.
It's my kind of weird. That's what it is.
Yeah, my kind of weird, yeah. And more than that, I just think that it's hard Elko will probably be fine, but you got to really get these Texas coaches, these high school coaches on your side. And I've known Jimbo for a long time, and I knew why he was successful at Florida State, especially recruiting, even while he was the OC, was that the coaches, especially down in South Florida, they'll test you. They want to test you. And, he could stand up. Jimbo could raise hell. I think he did it at Glade Central High School. One time, when he wasn't able to recruit a kid. I mean, he really coaches respect that. But the coaches in Florida, they don't make a lot of money. They're just they're coaches. They're doing this for the love. Those coaches in Texas make as much money as the superintendents. You got to love up on them. They don't care about it. You got to be their friend.
Yeah.
I don't think Jimbo had time. He didn't want to be anybody. He ain't nobody's friend. He ain't got time for that. He was trying to get players. So I'm glad he's out of there. As someone who's known Jimbo for a long time and likes him, and had a friendship with him, I'm glad he's out there. I hope he comes back to this coastline to get his next job, which He'll get another job. The guy's 128-48 as a coach for the national title. Like, believe me, there are people that will hire him.
Yeah.
So, I'm not worried about him getting hired again. So, so he's fine. I think A&M is a job. It's an okay job. I think any sort of advantage they thought they had by being in the SEC has gone away because now Texas, the normal school in that town, that state is actually in there now, and they're they got all the stuff. They have the stuff you really want to be around. They got the they don't have the fake military or the dudes in overalls doing half push-ups.
They're in a real city. Yeah.
Yeah, they're like women that go to that school that you actually want to date and stuff. All kinds of little things that really make a big difference.
Hey, Corey, you're going to have to go back through and watch this show and just look at the expressions on Tim's face while you're saying all this crap because it's absolutely priceless.
I only take exception to one.
I said a lie yet. I said a lie yet. Tell me what. Stop me when I'm wrong.
Look, it's hard to argue with anything you just said, but except for one thing that's total BS. When you're calling it fake military, dude, it is not fake military. It's a military school.
Yeah, get it right, Corey.
Come on, it's not everything else you said. I can't argue with.
What branch are they associated with?
All of them.
All of them around here. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, fake military school. That's what I thought. Okay. Yeah, basically it's like going to West Point, right? Okay. I'm sure.
I'd rather go to A&M.
Oh my God. All right. Before we get, I thank you. Every time you come on, I belly laugh, and it's fantastic. So I wasn't expecting that beatdown of A&M, but it was so good.
I was.
Yeah. And I didn't know you had such a great friendship with Jimbo Fisher because that makes me sick to my stomach. But anyway,
listen, that man walked out with $77 million. That's
why he's your friend. Okay, I get it now. Yeah, absolutely.
Someone got to buy me dinner, so
my two personal interactions with him still make me sick to my stomach. So I guess I'll never be on that Jimbo train. Anyway, what the hell's wrong with the Lightning? I have a sneaky suspicion they play a really, really good hockey game tonight in Chicago, and beat up on the Blackhawks. But I could be wrong. I didn't think they played horribly bad against St. Louis. It's just the numbers didn't look so good. Carolina was a disaster. The second two periods of Chicago last Thursday were a disaster. But I'm not panicking on the Bolts. Where are you at yet?
I'm not panicking. I really think, like you said, I thought they played a decent game against St. Louis. They don't win there. They really just struggle there.
Yeah,
they're like the Bucs. They're like the Bucs going to San Francisco this week. They don't win there ever. It seems like so. Yeah. I think in Chicago they just got caught with their pants down. They had been scoring a lot. They came out scoring, and then all of a sudden they stopped scoring, and I think they just got a little frazzled by it, and it's just carried over. They had the Kucherov injury on Carolina was not injury, but him being sick and being scratched 30 minutes. It just kind of took everything out of them. I think tonight they'll want to get that win back over Chicago. I think you might see the big cat in there on Saturday. I think he might play Saturday and Monday. He's practicing, so this is about the time. So it should be maybe Saturday, maybe Monday, maybe Wednesday. Like, you're going to get him, I think, in one of these next three games. And I think that's going to be a major boost. I mean, he's practicing again. He practiced with them on Monday. He says he feels good. So, I mean, backs are a little tricky, but I think if they give him, probably give him, morning skate work, and I'm assuming, and practice work this week, that he'll be ready for Saturday or Monday. So we'll know. Saturday would be kind of the day because they got it 8 o'clock. They got a 4 o'clock on Saturday, so it's not quite a back-to-back, but it's close. So that seems to be a good spot for them. We'll see. But I think they'll be fine. I'm not worried. I'd rather them have this slump right now in mid-November than like mid-February. It's the start of the season has been a little strange. I haven't seen so many teams go up 8 spots and 9 spots and 10 spots in a long. It's like 1985 hockey all over again. It's just I just if you can get out of this Vasilevsky period without him and be a game or two above 500, I think that's about all we can ask for, really, when you think about it. He's such a major part of this team.
I said this to Eric yesterday, and he kind of like Eric Erlinson, and he's kind of like it could go one of two ways with Vasilevsky. He could come back and they could even exhale even more and say, okay, we got our guy back. We'll take our, we don't have to play as hard as we have been or gripping the stick. And, they could be less than they have been. And I kind of feel this way because you see it with football teams. You see it with all different sports. Like he is their best player. He is the identity of the team. And even though I'm not going to sit here and say the goaltending has been awful, it hasn't been tremendous either, but it hasn't been awful. And then people say, well, the goaltending hadn't been the problem. You're right, it hasn't. But he's still your best player, and you're not whole until he's in there. And I think it just gives you a mojo of like, okay, now we're back together again. This is who we are. Let's go play the way we know how to play. So it could go either way, but I'm thinking it's going to go the latter more than the former. What do you think?
I agree. I think it's just I think mentally you're used to having that guy back there. That guy's been back there for all your biggest moments over the past however many years now. And there's a level of confidence you have as a player and as a team with that guy back there. And it's not to say that they've obviously done okay without him back there. Jonas Johansson, very good player, probably made himself a good bit of money. Very happy for him. But he's not Vasilevsky, and the confidence level isn't going to be the same with Jonas in there as compared to Vasilevsky because there's only one big cat. I mean, you're talking, if he's not the best goalie in the world, he's the second best goalie in the world. So that's a big advantage to have. And I mean, I just hope he's healthy and he's ready to roll. And when he is, what you're getting. You're getting an absolute. I mean, he's a big cat by nickname, but you're getting an absolute dog in terms of a player, in terms of effort. And and he demands a lot out of that team, and that team demands a lot out of him. And I think it's just gonna, it's just gonna. I think you're gonna see a totally different hockey team in the way that they carry themselves on the ice with him out there because they know what he demands out of them.
Yeah. No, I think you're right, and I can't wait to see it. I didn't know what's going to happen that soon, but here comes the big cat, and that's going to be fun. All right, Corey, great stuff as always. Thanks for making me belly laugh and making steam come out of Tim's ears at the same time.
I love you, Corey. I love you, Corey.
Tim. You're a good man.
It's all good, man.
Sorry.
It's all good.
At Corey Long on the X Machine, at CoreYLong. You can also see him on NHL.com covering the Tampa Bay Lightning. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.
Well, you take care. Bye-bye.
Great Corey Long. Oh, you even gave him the applause on the way out.
Of course I did.
You're going to get a different sound effect. No, that's what I like. That's the Gator defense.
Yeah.
I think that is.
You know what? The funny thing is, I can't really argue with anything he said. Other than, like I said, being a fake military. It's not a fake military school. Come on. But I mean, it's weird. Look, I get it. I was there. I know. I grew up around it. It's really weird. I get it.
So yeah, I mean, if you're a player, you either say, okay, these are really special traditions and it's really cool, or he's right. Maybe there's a lot of players that go, this is whack. I don't want any part of this. This is nuts. And I think to some degree, I don't know. There's a lot of small towns in America that host college football teams, and I think it's an advantage in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But I've never been to College Station, but I hear it's like nothing there except Texas A&M. That's it.
And some really good bars.
Yeah, and Austin. Austin is obviously a very big city,
capital of Texas.
Better, I mean, little progressive for my taste, but there's other things there. So I don't know if that plays a role in it.
Austin's only 90 miles from College Station. I mean, if you want to go to
Tuscaloosa, Tuscaloosa, it's like there's not much there, but except Alabama. Let's just be honest about that. So, yeah, Athens would be the same way. Right. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk some more Gator football with Scott Carter of FloridaGators.com. So quick break, 3 minutes. Back in a moment to talk some Gator football with the Jeeves Law Group Gator Report. Stay with us.
JP here for the Jeeves Law Group, Jeeves. Call for a free case evaluation, 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES. We're local, we're trusted. The law firm brings over 80 years of combined legal experience focusing on clients in Tampa Bay, the state of Florida, and national class action cases. If you're injured, get that free case evaluation, no cost to you. The Jeeves Law Group's focus is on auto, truck, and motorcycle accidents, as well as class action and consumer protection law. Scott Jeeves is a board-certified civil trial lawyer and a certified circuit court mediator practicing in the Tampa Bay area for over 30 years. You hear him on the show all the time. Great guy, big Gator fan, and great for the community. The Jeeves Law Group is a highly skilled team with years of experience that will apply their skills, expertise, and knowledge to assist individuals who have been in an accident with compensation for damages, lost wages, medical expenses, pain and suffering, and property damage. Get that free case evaluation, 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES.
JP here for my good friends at Italiano Insurance, and they did it again. Once again, Italiano Insurance stepping up with the best customer service. I was in a bind. My old insurance company, my auto insurance, jacked up my rates, so I called Charity at Italiano Insurance, and she stayed till 9:30 at night until she got my insurance done. And guess what? She searched all these companies for me. I didn't do the work. She did. Saved me $1,000 on my annual premium. $1,000, folks. That's real money. And that's what you get at Italiano Insurance. Great customer service. And here's another note for you, by the way, with hurricane season up. 40% of people in Florida are underinsured. That means if you have something happen during a hurricane and you need replacement costs, you're going to get 40% less than you deserve. Can't let that happen. Call the folks at Italiano Insurance and get them to help you out in both those regards. They will save you money and keep you insured properly. That's 813-877-7799. Great folks in the community, been doing it for over 60 years. Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799. JP here for the Geddes Gordon Real Estate Group and our good friend Jane Geddes. Folks, simply put, there is nobody like Jane. Jane is a former LPGA two-time major championship winner. She was also vice president of talent relations at WWE. She also has a law degree from Stetson. So if Jane can drain a 10-footer to win the U.S. Open and stare down Hulk Hogan in the boardroom, you want Jane on your real estate team to not only negotiate the best deal, but find you the perfect home or investment property. And when you work with the Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of the real estate family and get concierge services that include expertly staging, marketing, and preparing your home for sale. Advice on golf properties. Hey, you might even get some golf tips. Many of their clients become friends long after the sale or purchase is completed. It's all part of the deal. So if you're looking for that perfect home or investment property or trying to get top dollar for your home, go with Jane Geddes and the Geddes Gordon Group because there's nobody like Jane. Call 813-485-6808 or go to GeddesGordon.kw.com. That's GEDDES Gordon.kw.com. or call 813-485-6808.
Let's go! Right now. Back to the show with JP on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show here. Our second hour brought to you by the great folks at the Gold and Diamond Source. They've got their Black Friday sale coming up. We've got gift card matches, all kinds of crazy stuff going on at the Gold and Diamond Source. Go to goldendiamondsource.com. Get all the information there. Obviously, the best place to shop for your holiday shopping on Black Friday. It's going to be tremendous. It's got a great selection. So head on over to the Gold and Diamond Source, 3800 Olmerton Road, and always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com. All right, let's welcome in our good friend, Scott Carter from FloridaGators.com. It's our Jeeves Law Group Gator Report. He is back with us after a week off with a little bit of a cold or something that you had there, but don't worry about it. Chris Harry did a great job pinch hitting for you last week, but it's good to see you back. How are you, my friend?
Hey,
better than the
well.
Gator defense.
Yes, doing well, guys. Thanks. And I felt last week like probably the Gators defense did after the LSU game. Just felt a little bit ran over. But, glad to be back, and we'll see what the Gators can do on Saturday out at Missouri and see if they can bounce back. I mean, it was a tough game for them, obviously.
Well, you can say that the Gator defense won a Heisman Trophy this year for Jaden Daniels as he went over 600 yards of total offense. That was look, I've seen Jaden Daniels play twice now against FSU, and I think he's the Heisman Trophy winner. I think he's, I know everybody's talking about other quarterbacks that are supposedly better, but man, as far as a runner and a thrower, I don't know if I've seen anybody better this year in college football. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, he's the best player in college football, in my opinion. If I had a Heisman vote like I used to, he would be my Heisman winner. I know a lot of people are saying, well, he's on a 7-3 LSU team. Don't you want the record to be a little better? Look, I just want the best player. I mean, I don't know what Bo Jackson's record was at Auburn the year he won it, or some of the other great players. I want a guy who I would actually pay to go watch and see what he does. And if you were in Tiger Stadium last Saturday night, you got to see something special. So, he's a dynamic player, and it's going to be interesting to see him at the next level because he fits that model that they love up there. So,
yeah, and it's not like he performed poorly in any of their losses. To teams like Alabama, Ole Miss, and FSU, not too shabby. So, I definitely would give it to him. But obviously he's a talented player, but what did Florida do poorly, and tackle would be at the top of the list, that let all that happen?
Yeah, just from what Billy Napier and the players have said this week, I mean, it all goes back to those coaching terms, guys, that they like to use, execution, not getting the gaps, eye discipline. A lot of that stuff has been talked about this week. And what they're probably not going to tell you, and I think the fans know this, I think you guys know this, people who watch the game know this. I mean, they're just not that talented on defense right now in terms of what we're accustomed to seeing at Florida, and also in terms of what you need to be able to do to stop Jaden Daniels. So Jaden Daniels is going to go out and have some really big games against some really good defenses, but they're not going to put up 700 yards consistently. And I just think the Gators, it kind of speaks to the bigger issue, guys. I mean, this is a program that we all know it's in transition. Mm-hmm. They certainly were hoping to have a little smoother year too. Unfortunately, it's gone south here with 3 straight losses and the potential of 5 in a row before the end of the regular season. But I think the bigger picture is the Gators are still rebuilding a roster that needs more talent. And it starts on defense, because I think they've done a much better job on offense of late, but defense is getting exposed here lately.
Yeah, and I think one of the things people don't think about when they're in this stretch is first of all, recruiting is important, and Billy Napier is doing a great job of that. Second of all, if you're a defensive player at another SEC team, you're maybe not getting the playing time that you deserve.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see Billy Napier bringing in a ton of really good defensive players in the offseason. Deficits, deficiencies, especially programs like Florida, where people want to come play, obviously, don't last very long, because you have the opportunity to rebuild in the portal with some really, really good players. It's not like you're, it's going to take 3 years to rebuild this defensive line. No, It's not. I mean, look at Braden Fisk, who came over to Florida State. I mean, if they could get Darrell Jackson on the field, they'd have 2 of the best defensive linemen in college football as transfers. They can. So it's, I would tell Gator fans, just chill a little bit. You'll be able to get some big time recruits in the portal. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think that is fair. I think, you looked at what he did defensively this past cycle, and, they brought in Cam Jackson from Memphis. They brought in Caleb Banks from Louisville. But then they lost Shamar James a couple of games ago. They've had some other injuries that pop up.
Huge hit, yeah.
Another transfer, Manny Noonry, suddenly playing a lot more. But I think what you're talking about is how you do remedy the solution quicker than maybe through recruiting. And now Billy Napier, since he's been at Florida, the consensus is, he likes to use the transfer portal to kind of complement what he gets through the recruiting cycle, because you want those program guys to come up and develop and really
Right.
establish some roots at the University of Florida instead of just being a one guy and out. But of course, in today's world, I think you got to really have a balance there. I mean, I like the old school model of 4-year guys and having them in the program and having them really, having a connection there with the fan base and the history. But hey, I'm all about winning too.
Yeah, exactly.
And I like to turn it around fast. So I probably do look a lot more at the transfer portal this offseason than maybe they have the first couple of seasons here. But we'll see. I mean, but yeah, you can remedy it pretty quickly that way, JP. And I think Florida is a prime candidate for that to happen.
Oh yeah.
Scott sitting on 5 wins, 1 more game needed to become bowl eligible. That's huge, as any college program knows, for recruiting and for the transfer portal to get those guys in to, claim bowl eligibility. Even if it's watered down these days, who cares? Still a bowl game, still a postseason, technically, right? I mean, we'll go with that. But it looks like the schedule, in order to get there, Mizzou's probably going to be the easiest route, right? I mean, with Florida State being the last game, and this is Mizzou's last game at home, so everybody's going to be there. They're going to be pumped to play. It's got to happen against Mizzou, right?
I mean, that's kind of a lot of the thinking out there, Tim. I mean, I'm kind of the other camp, believe it or not. I think Mizzou is going to be a very difficult game because I've seen the Gators go out there and just get blown out 2 of the last 3 years. It just, for whatever reason, that place does not treat the Gators very well. Having said that, Missouri's coming off a 36-7 win over Tennessee. I really think they're a good program. I think they're a good team. Florida's on paper, I mean, the stats don't, they don't stack up too different, I guess, when you look at it closely. So, but I think whenever you're playing at home in the Swamp, and even though Florida State's going to come in there likely 11-0, I mean, ranked number 4, 3, whatever it is, I know I've kind of looked at that game. If Florida's going to pull a shocker this year, if they're going to do something extraordinary, to me, that's the game I kind of have circled. But both points are well taken. It wouldn't surprise me either way, but it wouldn't. I mean, I hate to be just like middle of the fence totally.
Sure.
It won't surprise me if they lose both. I mean, it's just where they are. They're underdogs in both, but they're going to have to do something that's different than what we've seen the last 3 weeks to win either one of these games.
And how great would it be? Oh, sorry, JP, go ahead.
No, well, go ahead, Tim.
How great would it be, to play spoiler to Florida State's college football?
Shut up! I knew you were going to say that.
With a with a win on the final game of the season would essentially knock them out of the playoff picture. But I mean, it's a rivalry game. Anything can happen, and we've seen it before in any conference. So hey, you never know.
Well, you guys know. I mean, that would make the Gators season. Let's face it. If they were somehow pull that off, it would just put a little cherry on top of a kind of a twisted route they've taken there. But it's going to be difficult. I think the crowd would play a huge role in it if it happened. I think you'd have to see the defense play a lot better, and I think you'd have to see the offense really be bring its A game, so to speak, because Florida State's they're going to score some points. I think the only way you win that game is to outscore them. So we'll see, but 2 weeks to go, guys. I mean, they really need one of these. There's no doubt because, I mean, you guys know the mood right now around the fan base. The pressure that's building with the staff and just where the program is. I wasn't expecting miracles in year 2. I always thought, a 500 record was about where they would land. But, man, you just need to finish, show some improvement. And that's really the urgency level of these last 2 games.
Yeah, that Arkansas game is that's the one that's gonna haunt them, right? That you had to have that one. You said that going in, and you were absolutely 100% right. I mean, and you mentioned the offense, and as bad as the LSU game was, there's the silver lining. Graham Mertz again, 26 of 38, 311 yards, a touchdown, no interceptions. Etienne ran for 99 yards, almost 5 yards a carry. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff that's going on with this offense, right?
Yeah, the offense is not the problem. I mean, they've gotten really more consistent over the year. Getting ETN back involved has been huge. Pearsall's having a great season. And, it's going to get overshadowed when you're 5-5 and you're coming off a game where you give up 700 yards. But, I mean, when you look at the transfers portal and the quarterback situation. I think Graham Mertz was ranked somewhere like in the 20s, a best quarterback in the portal. Graham Mertz has had a great season. I mean, he's having a really good season, and I think it's overshadowed some, but I don't think they probably gotten the recognition there. I think that was a great evaluation by Napier. I think Graham Mertz has done a great job taking advantage of the opportunity, and maybe he has a magical performance in one of these last two games to pull a shocker out. But yeah, the offense has really shown some life. I mean, they're scoring well. I think they've since the Georgia game they've scored 39 and 35. Unfortunately, you've given up 39 and whatever it was, 52.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's the issue. Yeah, Graham Mertz, 2,720 yards, 18 touchdowns, just 2 interceptions. That is phenomenal, and certainly not. And remember how bad people were down on him after the first game. I'm like, just chill out now. Let's see where he goes with this. And I think in general, you got to outscore either Missouri or FSU, and that could happen. I mean, you never know. That's college football.
I think that's the blueprint. These last two, they know they're going to have to go and outscore them basically.
Just get a couple stops. A couple turnovers is all you need, and you can win the games. It's when you have an explosive offense like that. And before you go, Scott, you've seen a lot of these teams that are in the national championship hunt, Georgia specifically, and covering the SEC. Obviously, Alabama's in the hunt. Where do you see this headed as far as the playoff goes? You'll see Florida State in a couple of weeks. Your thoughts on the playoff and how it's going to end up?
Guys, I'm one of those, until you knock them off, I'm just going to stick with Georgia. I think what they're doing in today's age of college football, with so much chaos around building a program and building a yearly roster, I just think what Kirby Smart and his staff are doing is unbelievable. I mean, they've won 20-some games in a row. Yeah. They've been number one in the nation like 20-some straight weeks. I still think they're the favorite. You mentioned, Florida State is certainly right there in the hunt. I won't be surprised at all to see the Noles one of the last 4 standing. I still like Ohio State, or Michigan. They're going to be a factor. I mean, here I'm kind of sick of talking about the same schools because it feels like we're in a rut.
What about Alabama? What do you think about Alabama?
Alabama I remember having a conversation with somebody on a show earlier this year. He was ready to write off Nick Saban, and it was finally the year to Tide. I said, man, I don't want to hear any of that because I've heard it. I heard it back in 2020 during COVID that this was it. Well, they won the national championship with probably his best team, even though it was a different kind of game. Yeah, and then they're 9-1, and they can beat Georgia. There's no doubt that they'll give Georgia a good game. But until someone does it, Georgia is that's the team. I mean, that's the team. And I do like the fact that this thing is about ready to expand. And I think that's going to make for a more interesting college football playoff than what we've had so far. So I'm all ready for it. Yeah, me too. I mean, I've been waiting for it since it started because I always thought 4 teams was, probably not enough. Although in, retrospect, a lot of years it seems like it has probably been enough. But I think with the way things are changing and with what JP was talking about earlier, how you can turn around a program quicker now. I like the fact that more people can get involved, more teams.
And even the fact that, the eventual champion is going to have to play an extra playoff game, that's one more chance that and some of these teams, scheduling is what it is. I mean, look at Michigan, look at Georgia. I mean, you would never think an SEC schedule would be soft, but you look at it in totality, you might say that. So, get it, playoff, you're going to play good teams in the playoff, teams that are playing well. So that I think it's going to make for a more legitimate national champion, if that's a word I can use. But boy, just the interest level, because people, they talk about, imagine if it was 12 this year, how many more teams would still be in the hunt? You're talking about some 3-loss teams. Look at LSU, could be a team that you would want in the playoff. They're that good, and Jane Daniels is a team that you want to have in the playoff. And you will look at their losses and you're like, yeah, that's a playoff worthy team. Are they one of the 12 best teams in the nation? Probably, so it's going to be tons of fun, but we shall see.
To me, when you play these everybody complains about these cream puff non-conference games that big schools play early in their schedule. If you have a longer path to a playoff or a longer path to a championship, it's going to counter some of those.
Get rid of those games.
You know? I don't know if you can get rid of them, but I mean, it's going to counter what you play early. You know, like freaking Abilene Christian, University of Louisiana Monroe, whatever. If you got to win more games in the playoff, to me, it kind of counters some of those early.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Makes it more challenging.
Yep.
All right, Scotty, thanks for joining us. As always, we will see you next week as we will be previewing the big one. Yes, I'm still thinking about making that trip to Gainesville, but
you better.
It's dicey.
Just released a release that's sold out, officially sold out.
7 o'clock, right? 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock. Yep.
Ooh, nighttime in the swamp, going to be chilly.
Yeah. Hey, we've seen this play out before on both sides. I still remember, what was it, the 97 game that Florida won? Was that the year Florida State came in number one?
Yeah.
But now, I will say, guys, this isn't exactly the 97 Gators, but you never know. You never know.
Maybe not the 97 Knowles either. We shall see.
We
shall see. All right. Thanks, Scotty. Appreciate it.
See you guys.
One other, we're going to have a surprise guest coming up at 11:30. So I just found out that our friend from across the pond, Paul Stewart, will join us for a few minutes. And
good day, mate.
Regale us with his stories of his trip here to Tampa Bay. I got a little golf match coming up with him a little bit later on, which is completely unfair because he brought his British weather with him. It's going to be 65 and blowing 20 miles an hour and rainy. So can't wait for that.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah, that'll be fun. One more college note that I had to talk about, and I'd love to get your thoughts on this. Have you seen the story about James Madison? James Madison is ranked 18th. They're 10-0, 6-0 in the Sun Belt. And they have appealed to the NCAA to speed up they've asked for a waiver to speed up their process. Normally, when you're going from FCS to FBS, you have to wait 2 years, for whatever reason. They talk about making sure that the school has enough resources for the student athletes, blah, 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 a bunch of bull crap, in my opinion. So James Madison and James Madison, Tarleton State, and Jacksonville State are moving up to FBS. So they've asked for a waiver. And James Madison would probably be the top Power 5 team and would get it to a New Year's Day bowl. Can you imagine how important this is to the players, to the university, everything? And, of course, the NCAA says no.
Yeah.
They say no. It's like, what? Again,
it's a useless organization.
It's so useless. I mean, if it doesn't exist to benefit the players and the athletes and the student athletes, then what the F are you here for? I mean, and it constantly just rules against athletes, and they're better, and it's like, what are you protecting? Are you protecting other schools that might get that bowl bid and get that money? Is this in the best interest of the players? No. This is a dream season for James Madison. This could end up, it's a great story. I would rather see James Madison get that New Year's Day bowl than, some 3-loss team that gets to go all the time. What a great story. I want to watch that. But here comes the NCAA, who just seems to always shit on everything that's good, like everything. And it's like, why do they even exist? Just go the F away, NCAA, please. Just disband. You're a useless organization at this point. All you do is exist to piss people off.
They have no power over the conferences.
No,
we've seen that. So really, why do they exist?
It's just this relic of years past. And I guess these the teams are still under their purview for reasons that they signed up for decades ago, right? But it's archaic. It's completely outlived any usefulness it ever had. It was designed to, bring college sports under an umbrella and make it a level playing field and come up with some rules and regulations to help student athletes and keep a level playing field. And it's been bastardized into basically being an instrument to exploit athletes and not pay them and come up with this amateur athlete BS that the guy that even came up with it admits was BS, to keep them from having to pay athletes. And when the money got, and that was back in the day when there wasn't a lot of money, but when the money got so big, it just became a resource to redirect the money to a bunch of fat cats who aren't earning the money, and in schools and enrich, people that weren't earning it. And that's basically what it became. And it's some, rule making entity that was trying to keep a level playing field in order to just not pay athletes. That's what it was all about. And it's so useless now that it just needs to just go away. And this is another perfect example of why it needs to go away. So,
agreed.
Sorry to hear that, James Madison, that you got screwed. But join the fun of so many other people. But whatever.
You see some breaking NFC South news as Frank Reich is taking back over play calling duties from Thomas Brown after like 3 weeks.
Yeah, I did see that. Another major decision that was well overdue.
Yeah.
I don't understand why these coaches just move at such a glacier pace. I think sometimes it's too, you want to see it play out, I get to some point, but when it's so grotesquely obvious that it's not working, change it.
Yeah. And the theory here was that what's the Panthers owner?
Tepper.
David Tepper, yeah. The Tepper, so I guess Frank Reich thought Tepper wanted Brown to call plays, so he switched it and he gave it up. And now apparently Frank Reich is under the impression David Tepper wants him to call plays again, so he pulled it back in. It sounds like there's a little bit of dysfunction and communication going on over there.
Yeah, and you notice where there's dysfunction, it's usually with owners that are sticking their nose in places where they shouldn't be, and that's it. Listen, you hire a guy to do a job, let him do the job. Let him do the job. Don't be picking the quarterback as far as who you want to draft with. Thank you for that. Keep CJ Stroud out of the NFC South. We really appreciate that. Don't be, sticking your nose in who should be calling plays. If you want to run the organization, don't own it, because you can't be the general manager in the NFL. Sorry. Unless you're Jerry Jones.
Don't tell Jerry Jones that.
How does he get around that, by the way? That's supposed to be not a thing.
Because he pretty much runs the NFL. He does what he wants.
Yeah.
It's for the same reason he brought Pepsi in as the exclusive sponsor for the Dallas Cowboys back in the 90s when the league had already signed Coke. And when Bud Light was the primary beer sponsor for the NFL, Miller Lite signs were all over Texas Stadium because he does what he wants.
Yeah. That part I like.
Yeah.
That Maverick part I like. But being a rich guy doing whatever the hell you want, regardless of what the rules are, not a big fan of that.
No.
All right. Quick break. When we come back, our good friend Paul Stewart will join us for a moment. We got to get into some other NFL talk. We got a big game coming up tonight that we touched on. And, there's Taylor Swift news as well. We have to get to that. We have to get to that by law. So stay with us. We are the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the great folks at American Mortgage Services. If you're looking for a refi, those rates are lower than what you're paying your credit cards, folks. So even though they're high, somewhat not a bad idea. But anyway, call Scott Fitzgerald. He has all the strategies. He knows exactly what's going on. Contact him. You can get him through scott@amstampa.com, scott@amstampa.com, and he will help you out with all your finances, not just your mortgage, and help you with that monthly payment. American Mortgage Services of Tampa. Back in 3. Stay with us.
Well, Fitz the mortgage guy did it again. A listener heard his ad, was going to another big bank, but called Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services of Tampa, and Fitz saved him $618 on his monthly payment. Are you kidding me? Folks, that's big money. Rates are going up, they're going down, they're going all over the place. Scott will shop your loan and save you lender fees and get the best rates. Email him, scott@amstampa.com, or call 813-294-7595. That's Fitz, the mortgage guy. Lots of stuff going on right now, and these rates are going all over the place. You need somebody knowledgeable in the market that will work hard for you and get you the best deal. That's my man, Scott. He's done 3 loans for me, done thousands of loans for local folks here, works with a lot of the coaches and players in the area. He's the guy. 813-294-7595, or go to scott@amstampa.com.
JP here for the Geddes Gordon Real Estate Group and our good friend Jane Geddes. Folks, simply put, there is nobody like Jane. Jane is a former LPGA two-time major championship winner. She was also vice president of talent relations at WWE. She also has a law degree from Stetson. So if Jane can drain a 10-footer to win the U.S. Open and stare down Hulk Hogan in the boardroom, you want Jane on your real estate team to not only negotiate the best deal, but find you the perfect home or investment property. And when you work with the Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of the real estate family and get concierge services that include expertly staging, marketing, and preparing your home for sale. Advice on golf properties. Hey, you might even get some golf tips. Many of their clients become friends long after the sale or purchase is completed. It's all part of the deal. So if you're looking for that perfect home or investment property or trying to get top dollar for your home, go with Jane Geddes and the Geddes Gordon Group because there's nobody like Jane. Call 813-485-6808 or go to geddesgordon.kw.com. That's GEDDES Gordon.kw.com or call 813-485-6808. Are you tired of those stuffy, overpriced sports bars? Well, come join the fun at the Patio in South Tampa and watch your favorite football teams under the stars in a tropical paradise. Yeah, it's a unique setting with huge wood decks beneath the trees, and don't worry, they have an inside AC bar with all your favorite bar games as well. The Patio has all the NFL and UFC sports packages, and it's home to the Tampa Gator Club and Bills Mafia, but all fans are welcome at any time. Hey, my FSU buddies love to watch the Noles at the Patio. It's also home to a great happy hour. Weekdays get $4 White Claw vodka drinks and $4 White Claw seltzers, $1 off all beer and wine from 3 to 7:30. And every Friday happy hour, join us for Football Friday. It's our live broadcast from 5 to 7 with tons of specials and the fan mic for you to join the show. We'll have swag and ticket giveaways as well. So come out for the live broadcast 5 to 7 every Friday at the Patio and come watch football in a tropical paradise all season long. It's 421 South McDill, just a few blocks south of Kennedy. Everyone meets at the Patio.
Coming back at you. Now, more with JP on FanStream Sports. It's only just begun.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show here. We are brought to you by the great folks at the Patio, as you heard there. Golden Diamond Source, the Geddes Gordon Group, and Italiano Insurance. Many of our good friends have saved a lot of money with Italiano Insurance. I had an issue with my auto insurance. First of all, they saved me $1,000, but another issue came up and something I really didn't want to deal with. So I called Charity at Italiano Insurance, and she took care of all the legwork, did all the, the back and forth with the company because they represent different companies. And she did all that for me, even took care of an issue we had. So it's so much easier when you get customer service like that, folks. Don't deal with these companies yourself. You don't have to do that. That's what Italiano Insurance is for. So not only will they save you money, but if you have issues with your insurance company, you don't want to wait on the 1-800 line because they have special access to their customer service. Let them do the work. So it happens all the time. And anyway, it's a great way to go about it. Go to italianoinsurance.com. I'll call them at 813-877-7799. I'm trying to get Paul Stewart on, but he says his connection sucks, Tim. Is it working? Is he there?
Well, we see him in the preview, but I don't see a picture. I just see the blank box here.
Can we hear his voice? Pop him up. See if you can
find out.
No, it doesn't look like it's going to work. All right. Well, Thanks, Paul, for trying. We appreciate you, but it's not going to happen. So I'll just text him, and we'll regale you with all the Paul Stewart stories tomorrow after we get done with our Ryder Cup golf match today, which he brought his own weather, which is completely unfair.
Yep.
Right. So now I have to go play in wet, rainy conditions, and but I'll have the home course advantage at Palma City. We'll see how it works out. I don't like losing. I don't like losing to, especially to Limeys,
Right.
So I'm not like our pussy ass Ryder Cup team. I'm at least going to try.
Yeah, they're okay losing, clearly.
Yeah, they clearly don't care. So that's fine. But I'm a little different. I may not win, but I'll have a spine. I'll actually give it a go. So I will report back tomorrow as to how it all turned out. So I want to get to some of the comments here from today, and then we got a Deion Sanders story that is just so good. Can't wait. Deion he's one of a kind. He is one of a kind. We mentioned that the the Buccaneers sent out a letter to their season ticket holders basically saying, we're watching you. Because if you sell your tickets on Ticketmaster, obviously, the Bucs can monitor who's selling their tickets. And I think that's the only way to resell your tickets nowadays because everything's electronic, right? Yeah. It's to put them up on the Ticketmaster, who takes an exorbitant fee from the buyer and the seller. Like, can we do something about that, please? Mm-hmm. As James says, the Bucs brass can't have it both ways. You can't put out horrible product out there week after week, bad coaching week after week, and then tell ticket holders they can't sell a ticket now and then. I don't disagree with that. It is a free market, and if they're not giving you a product of which you want to go watch, then yeah, you should be able to sell the ticket. But also, I think there is a process that you need to go through, and I don't think you should be able to sell them all, because I do think a lot of these guys that bought these tickets and have these accounts are ticket brokers, and they're doing that. They're not necessarily Buccaneer fans. They're people that bought these tickets maybe during the Brady years and are now still using them. When you have tickets like the markets like Chicago and Philadelphia that come down here, they're going to be of great value. You can make money on them. So this one from Kevin, I totally agree with. The idea of eliminating the fees to sell to only other season ticket holders would be a start. Let 300 levels upgrade if they want to get away from fans up top. It's a great idea. This is a great idea. Almost like an inter-team ticket exchange, right? Where you eliminate maybe even some of the fees. Wouldn't that be a great idea?
Yeah.
But, Ticketmaster has a deal with the NFL. Are they going to agree to that? Probably not. So once again, it's the greed of the NFL, the teams in general. They got you over a barrel now, because remember, back in the scalper days, we had paper tickets. You could sell them to whoever the hell you wanted to. Those paper tickets don't even exist anymore.
That's what I was just about to ask you, because I haven't owned season tickets to anything since I owned season tickets to the Stars from like 96 through, 04, 05. And of course, they would mail you every year, beginning of every season, your entire allotment of tickets. They were paper tickets, and you could literally go meet somebody on the street, and they don't know who's buying them. And they're, I don't even think they scanned them back then. They didn't even have barcodes back then,
No.
Like nowadays, do they not do that anymore? Is everything strictly digital and electronic?
Everything is digital. I don't think there's no paper tickets for Lightning tickets, and there's no paper tickets for Bucs tickets. I think you can order. They at one point they had some that you could order just as a keepsake, but you don't even use them to scan to get in. So no, you can't do that anymore.
So
and
you
that's
have to just show something on your phone when you enter the gate, or do you have to print it out on paper? Or
no, you have to. Now the FSU game I went to, they do print out the paper tickets, and you have a barcode that they scanned. Right. So you could sell those tickets, but then, they have the fake, unless you're buying them from somebody, you don't know if it's a fake ticket or it's already been, they could print up 50 of them
and sell them all.
Which of course they do, and sell them all. First one to get to the gate wins. Right.
Yeah.
So you never know. And of course that's part of the safety part of being with Ticketmaster or some of these other ones, that they're authentic. So that's the positive part of it. But the negative part is that they track them, and they can make sure that they know who that's getting sold to, which can be a positive and a negative. But I think they've got to come up with a way where, and if you're doing this electronically, you can do it. Even though if you do it through a Tampa Bay address, right? Zip code, you still don't know if they're going to be Eagles fans or Bears fans that just live here. That's part of it too. So you don't know. Will Martinez says, I'm from NorCal and make it up every year to Tampa for a Bucs game. And almost everyone I meet is a transplant from the Northeast. Well, yeah, there's a lot of that going on, and it's getting worse or better depending on your feeling on what that, I don't necessarily mind transplants as long as they're fans, right? So it doesn't really matter. But I tell you this is interesting, Tim, and I don't know if this happens where you are, but when I was out here at Halloween, and I'm living in Winter Garden now here, a suburb of Orlando, and we were just walking around. I probably heard 5 or 6 different languages and heard very little English. I mean, very little English.
Oh, wow.
And I can't, That's never happened. I've never been in public in the United States of America and heard, 5 different languages within a 2-hour period. And especially in a neighborhood, which I think, and I'm not necessarily saying it's bad, but it's just really different because all the people that were, trick-or-treating were, wonderful and well-behaved. And, I didn't feel unsafe in any way or anything like that. It's just, It was shocking. Like I never, in a lot of languages, I'm like, because I could usually recognize, like, I know what French sounds like. I know what, I obviously know what Spanish sounds like. I know what Russian sounds like. I don't know necessarily what Flemish sounds like. I don't necessarily know I know what Portuguese sounds like now because, there were a lot that I didn't know. And it's just, the makeup of this country has changed dramatically over the last 3 to 5 years, especially the last 3 years. And it's really interesting. And when you go to football games, I don't think I hear that many different languages, but there's a lot of different people that live here now, and they're going to games, and I don't necessarily know how you would keep it within the fandom, but the Bucs are trying to make an effort to do that, and I applaud them for it. I think because when you hear from the season ticket holder that is selling his tickets, and he's doing so because he doesn't want to be the only one in the section that's a Buck fan, that's a problem. That's a problem because when you have those people who want to go to the games and want to use their tickets, who are now selling them because everybody else is, you get a snowball effect going the wrong way, and that's no good. Jeremy Lowe says Frank Reich will be one and done. If you're an owner, Frank Reich's a good coach. I mean, he's proven that in this league. I don't know what the hell's going on in Carolina. I'm not that close to it, but it seems like there's a lot of meddling going on with the owner. And, if it is the case, and this is widely believed, that the owner wanted Bryce Young and Frank Reich probably wanted CJ Stroud.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine that dynamic. You're sitting here. I mean, you're sitting here trying to coach a kid who's a great young kid, but he just doesn't have it. He doesn't have the size to be able to play in this league and be, a long-standing player in this league. That just sounds like ultimate dysfunction to me.
Yeah. But for a guy like Frank Reich, who doesn't have a lot of skins, he just had one stop in Indy,
right?
And not a very successful one. I mean, he never really had a quarterback there, but and especially coming from where he came from.
Division titles, if I'm not mistaken,
in Indy.
Didn't he? Did he not?
How long was he there?
Let me double check that.
I didn't think he was there very long enough to do, but maybe. But that's the kind of a job you're going to go ahead and take just to take the job, right? Like you're not going to turn down a lot of work if you're Frank Reich.
No, not at all. Especially you got your pick of quarterbacks supposedly that
right.
you want. Then you that's something that you definitely want. Trying to find his record here. He's 41-42 regular season record. I guess that would include this year. So he was probably a little bit more successful. He was with the Colts for
5 years, I guess.
5 years. Yeah. Okay. I don't see his.
Man, I didn't remember it being that long.
Right. Where's my freaking record?
Yeah. And if, of course, coming from where he came from in Philly with his experience there as the quarterback coach, and by the way, making really crappy quarterbacks look good. He almost got Carson Wentz an MVP.
Yeah. So two playoff seasons with both finishing second in the AFC. So 10-6 in his first year at Indy, 7-9, 11-5. So 2 out of the first 3 years he took them to the playoffs. Did not win either one, lost to the Bills in a wild card game, lost to the Chiefs in a divisional game. Then the last 2 years was 9-8 and 3-5 before he got fired. So, I mean, not a bad, two playoff appearances in basically 5 years. That's not horrible. But 2 out of the first 3 years, he took them to the playoffs. So, I mean.
So that means he had Andrew Luck there, right? Early in his tenure.
Yeah, I think he did.
2018. I mean, I think that was Luck's last year, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and then you get, the kind of talk about the ultimate rug being pulled out from under you when he retires, right? That's probably a bit of a shock.
Yeah.
But interesting none the same. Thomas reminds us that Jerry built the stadium with his own money, no public money, so he could do whatever the hell he wants. Totally agree. The raised $10 tickets made you have a Florida address, which was good. That's interesting, Lonnie. Yeah, that's the way it should be. You know, you don't want the out of towners coming in and buying up the cheap tickets. JP, I told you when I spent time in Orlando, it was like I was the minority language. I think Orlando is a little bit more of a melting pot because of the, we're so close to Disney and you get 70 million people coming here a year. But these are people, I'm the Halloween trick or treat. These people live here. They live here, obviously. So I know fans are hating on Bulls, but it could be worse, like New Orleans. Yeah, that's a bad situation too. And it's interesting that Bowles and Dennis Allen were kind of handed those jobs for the same reason, a unexpected retirement of the head coach. And is that the best way to pick a head coach? I'm going to go ahead and say no. Do you think either one of those guys get the job if it's a true, full-on coaching search?
I don't think so.
No, I think that's a no. So, yeah, absolutely. All right, this Dion story is priceless. So Dion is complaining that other coaches are recruiting against him by telling them lies, that Coach Prime will not be at Colorado for very long. Welcome to college coaching.
Isn't that part of the recruiting process, though? I mean, come on, doesn't everybody do that?
Everybody does. Not Dion. Dion doesn't do that. He would never do that. No, there's a quote in here. He says, I'm not going to put you down so I can stand up. I've never been that type of player or person in my life. But all those other schools are telling these young men and their families, I'm not going to be at Colorado. They probably told him that about Jackson State, too.
Yeah.
And
look what happened.
Yeah, you left.
And you left.
Yeah. So.
Wow. Come on, Dion.
And we all know that when the money's right, you're going to leave Colorado.
So one of the things about Dion when he played that you probably remember was if and this is, I guess, more so after he retired too, but if there wasn't a Dion story in the news, and of course this was, before social media back then, if there wasn't a Dion story somewhere in the news, whether it was something about the recent game, an upcoming game, or if it was the offseason about where he might be a free agent at, that signing the next season, he would create news so that his name was in the media. I kind of feel like he's taken that to the next level now that he's a Division I coach in college football.
Yeah. He's always going to. What have they lost? 6 in a row?
Yeah, they're bad right now.
Yeah, which this is when we talked about going to Colorado and going to USF, and this was always my point. It's why, and I think Dion understood this as well, but maybe not as much as he should have. If he comes to USF, they're probably, and he brings all these players with him, which he would have. They're probably 10-0, or maybe lose to Alabama, so a 10-1, right?
Yeah.
And he's got right now, he's the the head, the leader in the clubhouse to go to Texas A&M, right? Or whatever job he wants.
Yeah, for sure.
Whatever job they want. I think now teams are looking at him going, okay, nice start, but are you really a coach?
Yeah.
Now listen, I think Dion's gonna, he's gonna be fine. He's gonna get more linemen and build that program, but he's also not staying at Colorado, right?
No,
he's not staying at Colorado. And when he's going to be offered jobs in the SEC and other places are going to jump at him because of what he brings.
Right.
He brings the notoriety. He can recruit like hell. You surround him with a lot of good coaches. You're going to win football games. If people want to dump on Dion and say this is what's going to happen, and I think he's got a lot to learn on how to run a program at a big time level. It's and if you're not negative recruiting Dion, which I'm sure you are, you will be soon, because that's just part of the deal. You're going to, what do you get? If there's a coach at another school you're recruiting against and it's pretty obvious that he might be leaving, you're not going to say that to the kids.
You got to play the game.
You got to play the game, man. And everybody knows that. So don't sit there and tell me that you don't play the game, because I know you do. It's part of it. But it's been an interesting year for Dion. It's been a very interesting year. And, Stephen A. Smith is out there campaigning now that he should be the new Texas A&M coach. Is that happening, Tim?
You know, I would never say never. I didn't think Mike Elko would be in the mix, and he's probably the guy I would want the most as an Aggie, just because he's got a short amount of ties there, and he's a good. We think he's a good coach, but he's not a big, sexy name, and I think that's what.
Right.
And the other thing, I don't understand. And we talked about this on Tuesday. I think in order for Texas A&M to fire Jimbo Fisher when they did, after the 51-10 blowout of Mississippi State. They had to have already had somebody in mind, and I would think that they've already agreed to terms with somebody.
Right.
And so all the speculation is moot. We don't know who that is yet, but it's just this whole scenario is just weird to me. But hey, you know what? Like Corey Long says, it's just weird down in College Station.
It is weird.
By the way, the Colorado Buffaloes started 3-0. We remember to start the season, and since then they've lost 6 of 7.
6 of 7.
And they're on a 4-game losing streak right now.
And they're not going to a bowl game.
They're not going to make a bowl game. They can't.
No, it doesn't. Yeah, right. No,
and they got 4. Well, yeah, if they beat Washington State, and they're not going to beat Utah for sure. So they'd have to win out to be bowl eligible.
Yeah, that's not happening. And his quarterback is getting killed, who happens to be his son. So maybe you should do a little bit more max protect. Give him some time to throw.
I give him one more year in Colorado. And then he'll end up somewhere else. He'll finish out the year. That'll give time for some of the guys that he brought with him to transfer again.
Right, exactly.
So there you go.
All right, one last quick break, and when we come back, a little bit of Rays news to talk about, and we'll get you set for tonight's Thursday night football game. And it's a good one. Bengals and the Ravens will give you a couple betting props coming up. Stay with us.
All right, this is for all you guys who don't want to go to the gym and do 5,000 crunches. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, you can get on the new True Body machine where you can reduce fat and tone up your muscle. It's like doing 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Define your body as you see fit. True Body offers personalized muscle stimulation that delivers the equivalent of those 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Just get in touch with them at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Chris Lugo and the team over there will set you up on True Body and get amazing results. Non-invasive with comfortable and little to no pain and zero downtime. You can isolate and target those areas that you want to improve and treat multiple areas simultaneously. It's an amazing machine, so check it out at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com.
Hey, the holidays are almost here, so take advantage of our layaway offer at the Gold and Diamond Source. Reserve your favorite piece now and pay in easy installments, making your holiday shopping stress-free. And engagement season is here as well, and we've got the largest selection of engagement rings, so visit us to find that perfect ring for that special moment. Looking for financing options? How big a ring can you get when we give you 3 to 5 years interest-free financing to make your dream jewelry more affordable? So this November, make sure you choose the Gold and Diamond Source for jewelry that's always stylish and unique, because your special someone deserves something to be thankful for, right? Find the perfect gift at the Gold and Diamond Source. Don't settle for factory-made imitations, folks. Make sure it's a Gold and Diamond Source diamond for a truly special piece of jewelry. It's the best folks in the world, Julie and Steve Weintraub at the Gold and Diamond Source, 4800 Ulmerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com. JP here for my good friends at Italiano Insurance, and they did it again. Once again, Italiano Insurance stepping up with the best customer service. I was in a bind. My old insurance company, my auto insurance, jacked up my rates, so I called Charity at Italiano Insurance, and she stayed till 9:30 at night until she got my insurance done. And guess what? She searched all these companies for me. I didn't do the work. She did. Saved me $1,000 on my annual premium. $1,000, folks. That's real money. And that's what you get at Italiano Insurance. Great customer service. And here's another note for you, by the way, with hurricane season up. 40% of people in Florida are underinsured. That means if you have something happen during a hurricane and you need replacement costs, you're going to get 40% less than you deserve. Can't let that happen. Call the folks at Italiano Insurance and get them to help you out in both those regards. They will save you money and keep you insured properly. That's 813-877-7799. Great folks in the community, been doing it for over 60 years. Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799.
Coming back at you. Now, more with JP on FanStream Sports. It's only just begun.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show as we round things out here with some. You want to give out some bets for tonight, partner? You'll be covering this game tonight, right?
I will be covering this game for RavenCountry.com. Shameless plug. Not that that matters in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Let's take a look at what SI Sportsbook, which is the preferred sportsbook, of course, of the Sports Illustrated family. For the Ravens. By the way, big game Monday night coming up too. We'll get into that here in just a second.
Yeah,
Sure.
Eagles, Chiefs. Yeah, Taylor Swift's going to be there.
Yes,
she's booked their flight.
And apparently, this I don't know if this was the news.
Coach.
Yeah, I don't know if this was the news you were getting into or not, but the parents are supposed to meet for the first time on Monday night.
Oh yes, I've heard that. The parents are going to meet.
Kelsey's and the Swifts.
The Kelseys and the Swifts. Oh, it's a match made in heaven. I think they get married.
Man, it's certainly looking that way, isn't it?
No, it's not getting married.
Celebrities don't get married.
Ravens
favored tonight, JP, by 3.5.
Mm-hmm.
Which I would take that. And your total is going to be 46.5.
The under has hit in prime time is like 9-0 in primetime games. The last 9, I think it was.
Yeah.
And some were like 37-2 on the under in primetime games. Like, it's ridiculous. So, and it's 46.5. It came out at 44 and it's now 46.5.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of want to go over in this one, but that trend is like really bothersome. I guess you could say it's due to stop.
And I don't have the exact number here, but looking at my Ravens schedule with the scores next to them, the Ravens score a lot at home. So
they do.
They could very easily hit 30, 33 on their own in this game. And then if Bengals can just put up 17, then there you go. You're hitting the over. Money line on it, Ravens minus 200 and Bengals plus 155.
Yeah, I like the Bengals in the money line here. It's just because of the price. I wouldn't put a whole lot on it, but you can make a little money there. Yeah. But I might stay away from it. Here's what I really love. I like Tyler Boyd over 44.5 yards receiving tonight with T. Higgins out, and Boyd's been getting a lot more targets recently. I like that one. Another prop bet that I like, I love, is Keaton Mitchell, who I just picked up in fantasy, who's averaging 14.3 yards per carry. This dude is electric. And
curiously got 0 carries in the second half of that game against Cleveland.
I do not understand that. This is stuff that just boggles the mind. Coaches just they want to go with the known entities, and they don't, even if it's smacking them in the face, as we talked about Todd Bowles earlier today. So he's talking about Marquise Watts and how he's been abusing all his tackles in practice and waits till week 10 to actually give the guy 11 reps in the game. Wow, okay. Keaton Mitchell over 46.5 yards total rushing, and then you can combine his rushing and receiving. So over 46.5 rushing and receiving yards. This is a layup because he's going to get more touches tonight, and the dude is flat out explosive. So yeah, over 46.5 total rushing and receiving yards for Keaton Mitchell. Jump all over that dog.
Undrafted free agent, by the way.
Yeah, out of East Carolina, I believe.
Yes, East Carolina.
Mark Andrews is my fantasy tight end as well. Over 55.5 receiving yards tonight. I jump all over that as well. Those are my prop bets tonight.
Do you have a Gus Edwards anytime touchdown
yes,
line?
I do like that. That's a minus 105. So Gus Edwards anytime touchdown might be good for you at minus 105. Yeah, because he's what, 4 straight and 7 total touchdowns in that span in the last 4 games. So yeah.
Yeah, if they're inside the 5, he's getting the ball.
And Lamar Jackson over 8.5 total carries tonight.
Ooh,
that's a lot. That's a lot, but just scrambling always counts. Primetime game. Yeah. I might play that one as well. Justin Tucker over 1.5 total field goals made at plus 104.
Well, definitely.
He's got 6 multi-field goal games already this season. And Cincinnati has allowed 6 kickers to boot multiple 3-pointers against them this season. So that's a nice little and he doesn't freaking miss. So there's that as well. So there's some for you. Tyler Boyd over 44.5 receiving yards. Justin Tucker over 1.5 field goals made. Keaton Mitchell over 46.5 total rushing and receiving yards. Take those bitches to the bank. What do you think about that?
I like it. Time to make some money, man. I need a burger.
Yeah, I need a mix. It's so funny because I was praising myself like 3 weeks ago because I went on a nice run. And of course, ever since I did that, it's been a shit sandwich in the gambling department. I said it came out of my mouth. I was like, why did you do that? Why did you
can't talk about it.
You can't talk about it. Shut the F up.
It's the same premise as you can't talk about a no-hitter.
Yeah.
In baseball, then you jinx it.
For an announcer to not talk about it. It was the one in the playoff game. Who was it? I forget who the announcers were, but they were openly talking about it. I was like, yes.
Joe Davis and John Smoltz.
I think it might have been Joe Davis. I said, he can't hear you. If you're in the dugout, yes.
Yeah.
You don't talk about it in the dugout. Yeah. If you're on the broadcast and it's a baseball game, so people are paying like 30% attention anyway.
Yeah.
So you got to tell them, it's a freaking no-hitter going on here, folks, in the playoffs. Might have even been the World Series. So thank you. Thank you for finally doing that.
Yeah. Rangers longtime radio play-by-play guy, Eric Nadell, has a funny way of dealing with that. As he won't use the term no-hitter.
Yes.
But he will say the Rangers are hitless through 6 1/3 innings, or so-and-so hasn't allowed any hits through whatever, but he will not use the word no-hitter. So that's how he gets around it.
That's better than the old, I'm not going to even mention it on television. He can't freaking hear you. Unless he's watching the television, which is probably a bad idea. All right. Our thanks to our guest today, Corey Long, who was fantastic. You should go back and watch that if you missed it and watch Timm's expression.
You know what? I might cut that up, that interview. I might cut it up and I'll send it to you to send to him.
Okay, that'd be good. Also, Scott Carter from FloridaGators.com. Thanks to both of them. We may have Rondé on tomorrow. I don't want to jinx it, but I think I just did. He's got a very busy schedule, but he's going to try to jump on with us tomorrow. So pay attention to our social media on that whole deal. Good luck on your bets tonight, and we will talk to you tomorrow. Go Bolts.